Welcome to Stack and Strength. I'm your host, John, and today I have the honor of being with Elle. Elle has taken her time out to join me on this pod. Elle is known online as Elle the Freedom Fairy. She talks about Bitcoin, personal freedom, politics, decentralization, and why people need to think more independently in a world that increasingly pushes dependence on the state. What I do like about her message is that it's not just about the Bitcoin price, it's about freedom, responsibility, and building a life where you are harder to control. So, for all those people who are watching and listening to you for the first time, who is Elle the Freedom Fairy?
Well, thank you for having me on. Al, the Freedom Fairy. Well, it's me. Am a young woman. I'm in my early 20s. I'm in Sydney. I found Bitcoin a few years ago and I kind of just fell down the rabbit hole. I started reading a lot about it. I read the Bitcoin Standard and you know how the story goes. And about a year ago, I started Women in Bitcoin Sydney as well. So this is our Sydney community just for women, where we talk about obviously Bitcoin and women's role in the space as well. So that was super exciting. And that's what I think I'm contributing to the most in the space at the moment. I'm also super interested in politics, my generation's position in Australian politics and global politics as well, and how Bitcoin as sound money can offer us an escape hatch from what we're facing at the moment.
Excellent. What came first for you? Was it Bitcoin, politics, freedom, or just frustration with the system?
I think it was a mix of frustration with the system and politics. I was always super interested in the way society structures itself. And I always would have political discussions with my friends in school. But going to university and starting university at the height of the COVID pandemic in Australia really opened my eyes to the systems of control that are placed onto us and the type of propaganda that is levied by major institutions like universities in Australia, unfortunately. So I was deep diving into more libertarian politics through my university work. And then it was at that point when I was introduced to Bitcoin, and it kind of all fell into place. It kind of felt like almost like a gift from God. Like I was meant to discover it all at the same time because it was like a puzzle coming together. And yeah, I started listening to the What is Money show with Robert Breedlove. I got super into it. I was listening to it for many hours a day, like wherever I could, on the bus to work, on the bus to university, on my cycles, at the gym. And the more I listened, the more questions I had. And so the more research I had to do. And I eventually was able just to intertwine it with my work at uni. And so I was studying Bitcoin and indulging my interest in politics and society and culture in every single aspect of my life.
Interesting. So, COVID or the pandemic was the specific moment where you realized something wasn't right with the way money or society works.
I think I'm not sure I had one specific moment as it regards money. I think it was an amalgamation of many different things. During COVID, I was lucky enough to actually have a job. And so pretty much all I was doing between high school and university when I took a year off was working as much as I could. And when I got some money from that, obviously I wanted to put it somewhere. And I realized the scam that is a term deposit of 3 or 4%. And so I then started exploring like my other options. And very soon after that, I was introduced to Bitcoin. So that, I guess, opened my eyes from a numbers perspective. But for me, understanding money on a deeper level came where I understood the problems that Bitcoin could begin to fix as I saw them. So it was kind of a long and convoluted road, but yeah, it was a mixture of my experience during COVID, like not being able to do anything but work. And even then it was extremely difficult because of all the restrictions. And then entering university with a real chip on my shoulder about the fact that my gap year, what was meant to be my year of experience and travel, had been taken away from me, and then being fed more of the propaganda about why that was actually a good thing. It exhausted me, and yeah, finding Bitcoin was my outlet and made a lot of things make a lot more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And What is Money series by Robert Breedlove definitely helps. It's guys, if you're listening to that, definitely something that you should be listening to. Unless and until you go down the road, spend hours and hours of listening to those series. It's an eye opener, as El mentioned. Just absolutely, especially the one with Sailor, with him, and that's really good. Really good. And it's so sad that majority of the masses are unaware or choose not to go deeper into the system, just live by the fact that this is normal. This is how it's meant to be. Yep, prices rise every year. Groceries are going up, oil's going up, but yep, I think it's just like that. No, it's not meant to be like that. But anyway, so why did you decide to start, speaking publicly about these ideas?
It was really as an outlet to begin with. Aside from like my best friend, none of my close friends really like to talk about politics, nor do they have no interest in it, and they don't really have much of an idea about it. Politics, money, like culture, they're just not very interested. So I needed to speak to someone about it, and I was also really looking forward to connecting with people who I had something in common with, which was this recognition that the system that we're living in at the moment is not conducive to human flourishment. And so that's why I started making videos on TikTok like 2 years ago or something, talking about my experience at an Australian university, like woke culture. And then very quickly, as I descended into the Bitcoin rabbit hole, it became more about money and how money, or fiat money, is an institution of control, and it is a coercive force onto society. And that's what I found very fascinating. So I wanted to share it with people. Also, being involved in the Bitcoin space in Sydney and in Australia, I got some nice feedback. Like, some people in these communities told me, oh, I'm really enjoying watching your videos and hearing what you have to say. It's refreshing to have someone who is younger coming at it from a different perspective. So I was encouraged by that. I kept going, and I am happy to say it was incredibly cathartic to get it out, because there is also this sense of, we live in like this cancel culture, especially online. There is this sense of not wanting to express your beliefs out of fear of being cancelled, or out of fear of being socially banished, or what have you. And to actually be able to express what I think and formulate my beliefs in a way that other people are able to understand, and it's translatable across various people's different understandings of the world. It was really freeing. So I enjoyed being able to do that, and I kept doing it. And now I don't do like my short form expressive videos as much, because I feel like I'm pouring so much of my energy into like my in-person quests, like Women in Bitcoin Sydney. But I'm very thankful that I have the opportunity to be able to speak my mind online. And for me, it's only been a positive experience. And the people who are around me, friends and colleagues in the real world who have seen my videos, I think it sparked some interest. And I've had a number of people now ask me about Bitcoin, and that makes me happier than anything in the world. So it's only been positive for me, and I'm really glad that I started doing that.
Yeah, that's that's really cool. And unknowingly, you became that person for them, that Bitcoin person in that group, or that community, wherever you are, because it's very few. It's still very few, right? We need more and more people to actually let people know. That's what led me to start this whole journey, right? Because one day I just went around the gym, and this is before I started the channel, just with a mic, and just asking people of various age groups, right from the like late teens till late 50s. What do they understand about money? Do you understand inflation, and et cetera, et cetera? Have you heard about Bitcoin, all that? Majority of the people had no clue. Like, not just about Bitcoin. Bitcoin was some kind of a magic internet, something in the internet. They didn't have any clue. They've heard about Bitcoin, yeah, passing, but obviously no clue what exactly it is, right? And that's when, for me, personally, the reason my channel is called Stack and Strength is Stack is obviously reference to stacking sats, strength being strength. I found many parallels in fitness and in Bitcoin just through my journey. Both need you to not take any shortcuts, long-term mindset, not having, not choosing instant gratification, patience, discipline, and stuff like that. And that was my reason. That's what I wanted to and let people know about it. And and I try to get people like yourself and other people who talk about it. And it's amazing, like you are in your 20s, and it's amazing that you have a mindset, or you are interested in topics which are rarely discussed by people of any generation. Like money, not really delved into that level of discussions. Like people don't go into deeper discussions of money, or politics is something generally people refrain from. So interesting. So when you say freedom, what does that actually mean to you in everyday life?
That's such a big question.
I don't know, you can.
Yeah, freedom. I think the ability to choose your path forward, but not only choose your path forward, be able to forge it yourself. And I think Bitcoin as freedom tech is a really good way to begin to practice these muscles.
Mm,
If you want to understand, building your freedom profile as a muscle, or the mind as a muscle understanding freedom, I think it's important that we train ourselves to be able to use something like Bitcoin um, to optimize our freedom. And we have to, like, I'm trying to find a good way to say this because I have it in my mind, but
mm,
expressing it sometimes is quite difficult. In the modern world, with all of the convenience around us, we have become so accustomed to outsourcing our responsibility that I think our mind, in many ways, as a muscle, has atrophied. I think we often don't have to think about second, third, fourth order consequences of our actions because we live under the assumption that someone else will take care of it for us. And Bitcoin
mm,
challenges this. And I think that challenge is much needed in our modern world where we so easily outsource this responsibility. Bitcoin forces us to actually come face to face with freedom and what it means to take on the responsibility of freedom and handle your own life. And
mm,
that is a big responsibility, and it's difficult and it's confronting at first, but it's also incredibly liberating. And I think sometimes people confuse freedom with just the ability to do anything free of responsibility.
mm,
But I think there is a distinction that should be made that true freedom comes with an immense amount of responsibility, and it's responsibility over yourself and the actions you choose to participate in to build a better future for yourself or your family. And that's one of the many reasons I like Bitcoin, because it's challenged me a lot, learning about like self
mm,
custody, privacy. It's challenged me in many different ways. And it's been a really amazing exercise for my brain to be able to see actually what I need to work on to optimize my freedom for now and for the
mm.
future.
Absolutely right. I think most people, they want comfort and security, not sure whether they actually want freedom or they understand it. What would you say are the biggest ways that people unknowingly give up their freedom? Obviously, we're talking about not diving or even, researching or understanding why these things are happening. Why is their purchasing power going down? Yes, we understand that, and that's what we try to spread it on. Why to save your time and energy in sound money, or hard money, money that actually does not lose its value, which is what we do. Why do you think there are other ways that people unknowingly give up their freedom over time?
Yes, I do. I think there are lots of ways in pretty much every area of life people unknowingly give up their freedom. But I think constantly seeking comfort is probably the one
Mm,
that is able to be understood across all areas of life, be that in
yeah.
politics, finances, or fitness. We all like to have things the easy way, and we like to be comfortable and sometimes to be lazy and not push ourselves because it's easy. It's comfortable to
Mm,
stay that way. But people choose comfort over freedom, and in turn, they give up their autonomy. People choose to remain comfortably ignorant and not look into Bitcoin, for example, and thus, like,
mm,
they're never able to reap the benefits of it because they haven't put in that effort. Or people choose to be comfortable and sit at home and watch the television every single evening instead of going to the gym and
mm,
actually putting in the work and then reaping the benefit
yeah.
of it. So I think that is probably the number one way that, like, all of us at some point give up our freedom to a certain extent. And I think like this comfort in the modern world has been maximized in every sense of life. People are always searching for an easier way to do something or a quicker way to do something with less effort. And this is great. Streamlining improvement or innovation is good, but it shouldn't come at the cost of autonomy or freedom or privacy for that matter.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And financial dependence is it's so important, right? But I think it's also one of the easiest ways that people become controlled, not working around it, right? People, and as you mentioned, getting out of your comfort zone, that is, I personally think that is a key. Because something that you want to achieve, like for a lot of people, right, people have different goals. Somebody may want to lose weight, someone wants to maybe want to gain muscle or whatever. Everyone has individual goals. What do we do towards it, right? Everybody knows you have to go to the gym, you have to start some sort of exercise. It's about what you're eating right, intake and output, calories in, calories out. People know that, but they don't take the step towards it, right? We wait for that perfect moment. We People need to wait for that perfect moment, that perfect push. Oh, I'm gonna do it next month or next year. Oh, New Year's resolution. This year I'm definitely gonna do it. No, we don't need that arbitrary date or that particular moment. You just need to start now. And that's the same thing in just about anything, like be it investing or health, right? You don't have to wait for something. You don't have to wait for a number to reach a certain, if you have like if people have some kind of a number, oh no, I'm going to buy this asset when it reaches this particular number. But how would you ever know that that asset is going to reach that number or not? The best part is getting in there, right? You can only win the race if you're actually in the race. And um putting yourself out or giving your best for your fitness, for your investing, for your relationships, that's what it's all about, right? The long-term mindset, not seeking shortcuts, no instant gratification, as we mentioned. You're Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the second Gen Z guest that I had, though. Like, I had Nikki with me on my show once. So do you think Gen Z has been sold a broken financial dream?
I think so. I think in many ways, yes. And I actually think this is perfectly exemplified with the changes to capital gains tax and negative gearing
Mm,
that was
mm,
recently announced in Australia. We have, as Australians, as young Australians, been promised that once we get our foot on the ladder in the housing market, we will be able to access these tax concessions that hopefully will help us build wealth for ourselves and our family. We've just been told that we won't be able to access those concessions that were given to generations prior to us. And even getting our
yeah.
foot onto like the step that gets us onto the housing ladder, now we're going to be taxed at a higher rate than people
Yeah.
have before us as well. So yes, I do think we have been sold a lie in many ways. And I'm actually kind of surprised and somewhat disappointed, well, very disappointed, to see yet again complete apathy amongst my peers in response to these new changes. For me, I think it's not entirely unsurprising that we encounter something like that. We have seen changes like this. I think for anyone in the Bitcoin space or anyone who has kind of had their eyes open to the way Australia is going or the way the Western world is going in terms of their like national finances, it's really no surprise. But it is disappointing. And I'm
Mm,
sad because my friends don't care. And if
mm,
anything, a lot of my university peers have been convinced that this is the way to combat the housing
mm,
crisis or the cost of living affordability crisis in Australia. I'm obviously of a different opinion, but I think more so than the changing laws is the lack of care amongst my generation that worries me. So yeah, we have been sold a lie, and that's evidenced in what's happened in the past couple weeks. But
mm.
it doesn't necessarily have to be this way. I think that people's
Yeah.
voice I think that there is some value in being vocal about this and expressing
Mm,
what you feel to, your local representatives or politicians around you. I think there is some value there, especially as young people, because that's, they're apparently trying to solve this cost of living crisis primarily for Gen Z and generations to come. But also, again, going back to freedom and personal autonomy, you can take your life into your own hands and you don't have to be the slave of the Australian government. You can choose to move abroad. I know it's a lot easier said than done. And there are various hurdles that you have to overcome in order to escape Australia and the regime that we're living under when it comes to taxes.
Yeah.
But you can also choose to look into Bitcoin, and that opens a million different doors that you otherwise never would come into contact with if you just keep on shrugging your shoulders and saying, let's redistribute the money so poor can stay poor and we can get poorer, but we feel better because morally it sounds like the right thing to do. Yeah, so that's my response. I do think I've been sold a lie, and I just wish that more people, especially more people in my generation, would recognize that and say something about it, or choose to change their own lives for the better instead of just remaining apathetic.
Absolutely. I agree with you. All those, if any young people, Gen Z or younger, are listening to this, right, and you think that you will never own a home, that is, if you ever want to own a home, that is, or get ahead, listen to what Elle just said, and you actually can take control of that. You can take that control to you, and not just the Australian government. It could be any government, right? You don't have to have that government support or control. As she said, if the tax system it will get worse with time, right? And if you have to move out to another jurisdiction, yes, it's easier said than done, but there are many ways to get that. There are many ways to get residencies, citizenships, accounts, and this is not, and obviously none of this is any kind of advice or something, right? This is just a discussion that we're having for educational information purposes, and it's also not tax evasion. It's actually smartly working around your time and energy that you've spent to accumulate your wealth, which is not taken away or drained away by someone else sitting somewhere who didn't do anything for it, right? You worked 100% of your effort for something and somebody comes and takes 47% of it. How is that fair? Like, it does not make any sense. Yeah, as she mentioned, right, Bitcoin can give you that hope without selling you those unrealistic dreams, right? The code's been running for the past 17 years without fail. And if you look at the compounded annual growth rate for Bitcoin, there is no other asset that comes even close to that. So yes, you do your due diligence, as she said. Listen to podcasts. If you are a listener, guys, listen. There are plenty of people with a wealth of information now at your disposal, right? When I first heard about Bitcoin, actually, it was in 2014, and I wish I was one of these guys. I wish I was one of those guys who actually went and further looked into it. Say, hey, what is this thing, right? I just disregarded it as some magic internet thing. I again got a chance in 2017, still the same. It was only until 2020 that it really kicked me hard, right? And that's when that was the first time when I made my first official purchase. And everybody, as I think Michael Saylor said, that everybody gets to Bitcoin at the price they deserve, and everyone will keep thinking till they get that they are late to Bitcoin. And in my opinion, in my understanding, and what I think is, till the time the governments keep printing money, everyone is still early. They may not be as early as a person who was in 2010 or 11 or 12 or 13, but you're not earlier than that person before you, but you're still early till they keep printing money. And it's very hard for people to understand, right? Something appreciating at that scale, it's never happened before, just because there's never been any asset has a supply limit, something that's scarce. You do not have anything to compare that with. And this is where a lot of people struggle with. So I've been helping a lot of people take their Bitcoin into self-custody and show them, teach them stuff. And, because they were storing their Bitcoin on some random exchange for a while. And I said, okay, you really don't own this right now, right? You think you do. You log into your app, you see, oh, yes, I have the money or this figure sitting there. Now, tomorrow, if this XYZ exchange shuts down, you won't be able to log into your account and your assets are gone. You cannot move it. You cannot sell it. It's happened to many people before. It's happened to me, actually. FTX, before the FTX collapse, I had moved majorly everything out of it, but I still had some which I'd kept for trading and stuff like that. But it was sudden. I was not able to log in, right? My username and password wouldn't just log in. And what happened, right? We know what happened with FTX. And FTX was not a small exchange. It was I think at that point of time, it was the second biggest exchange in the world, right after Binance. And it's happened before Mt. Gox, FTX, Celsius. I had money in Celsius, I had money in BlockFi. Any companies which provide you unrealistic yields on your assets, I would stay away from them. I would stay away from leveraging your Bitcoin. I would never, I would not suggest anyone to leverage Bitcoin. I would not suggest anyone to go and sell it. If you want to buy it with the intention of holding it for a long term mindset. Don't think, oh, it's going to go double next year. I'm going to sell it next year. It will not work well. You've spoken about political extremes, right? Why do you think both sides can end up wanting more control?
I think it's what's interesting and how how that it's a dynamic of like the past one. Yeah, 20 years ago, relatively sense position was to be opposed to migration, yeah, and to recognize uh,
Hmm.
these were like yeah, but now
Yeah.
it comes down to the power struggle and naturally like organize themselves in the hierarchy, and everyone wants to be on top, so you're going to have that power struggle. The left and the
Hmm.
so it's not the more massively will play a big role in this. Because I believe like the companies to actually work, how it should be work. We have to have South Bank and
Hmm. Hmm.
and Bitcoiners are a very large cohort moving towards more ideals and actually implementing that is in real life. Have these separate companies,
Hmm.
and since the work thing, everyone who I have heard of who's a part is very happy with their life because they are always choosing in it how they please. And there's around people they want to take another
Hmm.
utilize this art of creating companies. I think is beginning to be lost in the West, and I think that's
Hmm.
a lot of that and the corruption. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, like everything immense fight we've seen more and more exciting than it's because as
Hmm.
upside.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to see it is that first right.
Hmm.
Uh, that society is really um,
Hmm. Yeah.
but I think a cool part about Bitcoin is the public going to stuff big jumps left and right. What's good to come out of it is people starting to explore their other options, and a lot of that is for libertarian adventure, which demands down much.
Do you think people are becoming more tribal and less able to think independently because of that?
But I think media and escalating tensions in the world, people are more inclined that vehemently, and also like I've said, with this counter-culture that we live in, it's challenge your tribe that you're a part of, or to go slightly against that they choose to, they choose to change.
Hmm.
Which I good debate. I don't think it is choosing to find their business opportunity, but I think that is just where we're at the moment. Social media really
Hmm. And can Bitcoiners avoid just becoming just another tribe? Or are we a tribe in itself? Hmm. 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 Yeah. Hmm. Absolutely. I agree. I agree with that. We can definitely, it would be, the world would be a better place if our money is not broken the way it is. And yes, I also agree with the fact that, yeah, no, that's not definitely the right way to get anyone involved in the space, right? Nobody was want to hear that, stay or remain poor, whatever. No. El, your bio mentions criminology, right? So, how does that shape the way you look at society? Do you think broken money changes human behavior in that sense of what you're doing separately? Oh, I will. Hmm. 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 That's amazing. I would be touching base on women in a Bitcoin in just a couple of seconds. It was very interesting that you mentioned the part of brain freeze, domestic violence, and coercive control, right? My wife is a social worker. She deals predominantly in family, domestic violence, and children. And one of my proudest, secretly proud, I should have said that, but a moment was orange pilling her because she's a much more practical person in among the two of us. And to get her to understand what exactly I'm talking, it took a while. And now she stacks sats more fiercely than me. So I am kind of really happy. One day we were having a discussion on this topic, right? And some scenario, they mentioned that how women are undergoing, they are stuck in situations where the control is so bad that they do not have access to just about anything in regards to finances. The control is, because it's all about control, right? In a violent, like, it doesn't have to be only physically or emotional violence, what people may be aware of, but there's another kind of control, right? Your financial control. If you do not have finances, it's really hard. You're dependent on that person. And I was trying to have the discussion, and that's when I said, okay, this is where Bitcoin could actually play a very strong part, to give them that hope or that solution. But yes, to get that message passed or to get them understand what exactly we're talking about, that is the struggle. And what you're doing in your space, that is really amazing because, as you said, women may be much more comfortable in a space where there are other women to discuss or share things. Spot on. I do think that Bitcoin is not just a financial solution. It's much more than that. If you look at these aspects, right? In terms of that background, so what have you learned about human nature that more Bitcoiners should understand in terms of if you have in your studies and etc. Yeah, yeah, I would say that because in my experience initially, so for me it's been a journey, and I think for majority of the people, I first came to Bitcoin and then I got distracted by the shiny new toys, like a kid in a candy store with all the flashy crypto scams and promising. Yeah, have to admit that I was a shitcoiner once upon a time, and that was a learning curve for me. No more a shitcoiner, but at one stage, because I did not know what actually Bitcoin is, I had not done my due diligence, I had not done my research, and I think I was under the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? That I know about it. I just know. Yeah, I know, and I'm trying to tell everyone about crypto. Yeah, this is the future and all that jazz. But in all seriousness, the moment it struck me that no, there can not be, as Sailor says, that there can only be one best, right? There can never be another best, right? You can only be one. Like it's like somebody coming in tomorrow with Internet 2.0 and saying that, okay, this is the better internet. From today onwards, we're going to use Internet 2.0. It doesn't work like that because there is a certain set of infrastructure and rules and money that's set in place that's running the system. It cannot be broken like that. So, and they've tried. People have tried to copy the code, make another Bitcoin or so per se. And we know where that went. And for me, the journey of orange pilling anyone, I've realized that people have to do their own. Like you can only give this much information to someone, right? In the end, it's only up to the individual to take that next step. What's the saying? You can take the horse or the camel to the water. You can't make them drink the water. So similarly, like, I can give you training tips. I can write a plan for you. I can write a diet plan, a nutrition, or training regimen. But I cannot train for you. You will have to train for yourself, right? Same concept. You will have to look into it. Some random guy wearing orange glasses on the internet telling you to study doesn't matter. You have to do your due diligence, and that's my thing about orange pilling is like it gets harder and harder, and it's amazing though because when I'm confronted with a lot of questions, it actually makes me think and explain to them at the level that they would understand. Because sometimes I just need to dial back in and think, okay, you're actually coming from a point of view of years and years and years of information filled in here. If you try to dump that information on them, it will be an overload. You got to dial back in from their perspective. A question as basic as, but where is the Bitcoin? I can't see it. I can't feel it. And what am I going to do with it? And stuff like that. But it's at $100,000. I don't have $100,000, and stuff like that. And I get it. And you answer those questions, and I let them process it, and and then let them come back to you later. And I think that really works well for me. Otherwise, you sound like a broken record or a salesperson for Bitcoin, although you and I can't make a tiny dent in this massive space. Even if we get like thousands of people orange pilled, I don't think that's going to move the needle anywhere in the market cap of Bitcoin. So, yeah. And how was your journey that way? Like orange pilling or just about the nature in terms of human nature when you were trying to orange pill people? Hmm. Hmm. Right. Hmm. 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 Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hmm. Hmm. Yep. Yep. Hmm. Hmm. I agree. I agree with that, especially with the fact that picking your crowd. Because as you mentioned, I was having this conversation with my dad, and he's a so our battle went for a while, and in the end, so he was gold guy, and I'm the Bitcoin bro, and it's I try to explain to him in as much non-technical way and stuff like that, but in the end, I realized that no, it's he's coming from an area in his head which only makes sense to him over there. Anything else, this is way different from what he's ever known. And I get it because, as you said, your grandpa now he's from a different generation, right? For them, it's a huge technological and technical shift. They cannot fathom this thing, right? But it's exactly the same what's going to be for Gen Z, even millennials, Gen Z, alpha, beta, when they grow up, when let's say alpha beta, when they grow up and they are probably your age or my age, for them to think that, what, I'm not going to buy a gold bar, where am I going to keep the gold bar? why should I buy gold? Or for that matter, what are we doing with these pieces of paper? Like, you know what I mean? Like, by the time beta, 17-month old, she's a beta jet, like, so in, let's say, another 15, 20 years, it would be very surprising for even for her to understand, because then they're born in an AI native age. Now, for them to hold something, an asset like that, for them it would be, everything would be, you know, online, digital asset, something that has value and something that's scarce, something that appreciates, and it's not something like your paper money. And it's exactly the same thing, but it's the other way around. We're just early and trying to spread that word to people. Um, Regarding so women in Bitcoin right now, you started that space. Is that like where, like a local area where you ladies catch up and like discuss about these topics, or what exactly happens there? Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Mm. 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 Interesting. Amazing. Do you get frequent other regulars, or do you get new people in there? Oh, both. Okay. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Interesting. Yeah, I agree. Bitcoin, I think the community, global community, is still too male dominated in the way it's communicated, I guess. Right. Okay. Hmm. 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 Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no wokeism here, guys. We just love to orange pill everyone, regardless of whoever you are. She just seems to have a space where the ladies meet. That's just about it. How do you explain Bitcoin better to women who, without making it sound like a finance bro topic? Hmm. 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 Amazing. What part of Bitcoin do you think women connect with most? It's security, savings, independence, or family protection or freedom? What do you think it's? Hmm. Hmm. Right. Fair enough. And what would you say to someone who thinks Bitcoin is too risky or too technical? Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Being generous. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Yep. Hmm. Hmm. I agree. It's definitely not a get rich quick scheme, guys. It's more like a don't get poor fast or, a scam. Because definitely holding your whichever currency, dollars for example, here in your bank account for a long period of time, you are, what are you doing? Your money is going to get debased over time, right? That 0.1, 0.2, or, 0.5% that you're getting, it's not going to cover the rate of inflation that's hitting your money, or, it's not going to buy you the same stuff in 2026, you plan to buy in 2030. So that's the point here. Excellent. That is, you're doing some great job there. Well, that's amazing having that topic to discuss, having a community where people are actually, and they'll come and have a chat and be open to discussions. That itself, that is a great start. Yeah, I wish I wanted to do that too. I don't know how many guys are gonna come and throw stuff at me if I'm gonna start to. I think I'll. Yeah, there are plenty actually. So I was. Isn't this? Have you heard of the Orange Club app? Do you know about? Yeah, so in there they do have these meetups, and in Melbourne City, I don't have time to go till city. I'm a bit far from the city, around an hour drive, but sometimes it's too technical. Like it's like the like developer level technical stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get bored with these nerds here, and nah, just kidding. They'll be awesome. It's always something good to learn. But yeah, they do have catch ups. I did have intentions to go to the Bush Bash, but again couldn't. My daughter got sick, and so we had to cancel that down. I did message Anya. Do you know Anya? Anya was yeah, Anya was here in my show. Anya was actually the first lady on my show, the first woman in Bitcoin, if you want to say it like that, the first woman in Bitcoin on my show. You're the fourth actually. I had Nikki and Nell after that. That's amazing. So I talk a lot about stacking sats and building strength predominantly. Do you see the similarities between Bitcoin and fitness? Mm, mm, hmm. Discipline. Absolutely. To get that kind of freedom, whether it's financially free or, your physical aspirations, if you want to put it like that, that level of discipline needs to be there. I constantly use these analogies, right? These are long-term compounding habits that you build one day at a time, one set at a time, one sat at a time. So you go at it, regardless of what's happening in the market, right? Regardless the price is high or the price is low, it doesn't matter. Your dollar cost average, the word in itself is averaging, right? So it doesn't matter if you're buying at the highs or the medium of the lows, you are constantly buying sats. And continuously buying sats. You could buy daily, weekly, monthly. That's up to you. You can train daily, 5 days a week, 4 days a week. Again, that's up to you. Everybody has a different kind of tolerance. But yes, your body requires rest. So ideally, 5 days, 6 days. But yes, compounding those habits, right? And I also try to explain to people that self custody is something that I've just very vocal about this, right? Like it doesn't matter whether you bought Bitcoin from an XYZ place. What matters is taking that Bitcoin in your custody, moving it to your own cold wallet, right? Self custody for me is similar to looking after my own health. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Right. I am the only person responsible for it. Nobody else is going to do that for me. I can either sit back and wait for 2027 January for that New Year resolution to kick in, or I can just start tomorrow. So yes, if you have your Bitcoin in any any exchange, regardless of how big they are, how long they've been in the space, does not matter. Move it, take control of it, right? Because you do not want to log into your account, or if you're lucky to log in and lose your hard-earned, the most hardest money on planet Earth. L, apart from these, what daily habits can help someone become more sovereign, in your opinion? Hmm. 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 Very, very well answered, actually. I wasn't expecting all those wonderful pointers together. You're absolutely right. There, I also believe exactly. Faith. Definitely, for me, it's like God, family, fitness, freedom, and Bitcoin. It's, and also like I think something like a lot of people miss out is actually living that moment, enjoying that time with your family, rather than waiting for that one magical day when they're going to do stuff, or waiting for that one number to hit. You want to continuously stack sats, sound hard money, so your money doesn't lose value, so you could actually enjoy the present moment with your loved ones, because none of us know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? It's all about today. I'm grateful every day when I wake up. I'm just grateful and blessed that I am alive to see another day, and I can spend that time with my loved ones. And it's important that, obviously, touching grass, eating well, training, taking care of your health, but being more present. I think that is just invaluable. Mm, yeah. Mm, absolutely. Very well said. Elle actually just mentioned what she just mentioned is just the proof of work that we need to do outside of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin should not engulf you so much that you are oblivious to everything else in life, which obviously is much more meaningful, rather than enjoy that moment, or keep a balance, keeping the balance, and slowly you'll get that eventually. But yeah, this has been a really amazing conversation, El. I loved it. That's okay. Yeah, no, I have your handle. Yeah, I will definitely put that. It's been great. As always, guys, what we say here in this channel is, stay humble, stack sats, and build strength, own your life, ignore all the noise, right? Have that vision, that focus, and just keep working towards it. And if you're a lady and listening to this, and you happen to be in Sydney or going to Sydney, catch up with these lovely ladies, and get their perspective, go to their presentations, and hopefully you'll have a much better understanding of what you had in the first place. So, Elle, once again, thank you so much for taking out time and coming to this show. It's been great.